Tonight's practice is quite a varied practice. What I'm really wanting to do with you is bring about a reboot of our nervous systems. So if you've been feeling a bit frazzled around the edges, maybe you haven't. If you haven't, this will still be good for you. But if you've been feeling a little bit frazzled, this class is designed to bring you into a state of feeling very grounded, quite calm. I could talk a lot about polyvagal theory, about the adrenal glands. I'm not really going to do that. I'd just like us to come straight into a practice. So welcome. We're going to actually start this class. Actually, I should say, just in case you didn't see, you definitely need a blanket that you can roll up for this class. You need some kind of brick. It'd be really nice if you want to cover your eyes during parts of the class. If you haven't got an eye pillow, a pair of socks is fine. And a belt would also be good. None of these things are absolutely essential, although I would say the rolled up blanket is probably the most important thing. And then we're going to come to standing. You could take your feet about hip distance apart or a little bit wider. And it doesn't matter, they don't have to be parallel. It could be turned out a little bit. And we're going to take a few moments at the beginning of this practice. I really hope you've got your socks off, by the way, so that you can really feel down through the soles of your feet. Because at the beginning of this practice, we're going to take time to really feel the earth. And how amazing if you could be outside to do this, to feel the grass or the sand or whatever's there for you. I've got my yoga mat here. And allow your arms to come down by your sides, and you might want to close your eyes. And take these first few moments to simply arrive. Maybe opening out your senses to this very humid, warm Friday evening. I can hear seagulls. Notice the stream of a natural breath. And as you stand here, becoming particularly attuned to the soles of your feet in contact with the floor beneath you. And it'd be quite normal to find yourself maybe very delicately swaying as you inquire into the weight and the sensations from one foot to the other. And can you feel the stability of the earth coming up to meet you this evening, coming up to hold you? And as we stand a few more moments in the simplicity of feeling the earth through our feet, you might find that certain emotions arise in a dominant, certain thought patterns. Can you welcome everything in and set everything free to be here? If you like to set yourself an intention, a sankalpa for your practice, then go ahead. What do you really need right now? What does your life need? Beautiful. And then from here, we're going to I'm going to give you a few instructions, very, very simple movements. But the invitation is to be really fluid and intuitive. So we're going to start by feeling into the neck. You might do this by taking your head very lightly to one side. Maybe bringing it over to the other side. So can you feel what your neck needs right now? It's just a little inquiry. You might begin to circle just slightly, taking your chin down and round to the side, but nothing too abrupt. We're not taking really quick circles. We're just simply feeling any tension perhaps in the neck, in the trapezius muscle that goes to the upper back, in the throat. Feel what you need. That is the most advanced practice. And then at some point when your head is in a neutral position, we take a few little turns of the head, using our eyes to turn to the left, going as far as your eyes will allow you to. And then coming back to the center. And turning your head to the right. And take a few more rounds, all the while grounding down through the feet. We're telling our nervous systems that we're safe. Because right now we are safe. So we simply feel the earth and we feel our bodies and we breathe. Beautiful. And you can bring your head back to neutral and take a moment to feel. And then in your own time, drawing your shoulders up to your ears and rolling them back. So again, this is an intuitive movement. You don't need to be an expert to roll the shoulders, but you do need to be alert and tuned into what's going on for you. All the while feeling through the feet and breathing. And then can you roll your shoulders in the opposite direction? So I'm now rolling them forwards. Feeling all the little knots of tension that may or may not be there for you. Maybe I'm only speaking for myself. And taking one more shoulder roll. And then coming to feel the body again. And then holding your arms out in front of you and simply feeling into the wrists. Just working through all the joints. Maybe this is something you do every day, but I definitely forget to. Sometimes the simple things are the best. And really feel the sensations in the wrists and the palms of your hands. And then reverse the direction of those circles. Beautiful. You can have a little shake from your shoulders to your fingertips. And then you might like to take your feet a little bit wider apart here with your hands to your waist. And we're going to make a figure of 8 movement with our pelvis. So come to your right hip first of all and begin to circle in a clockwise direction. And then the left hip circles in an anti-clockwise direction. And it's fine to bend into the knees. And some people will find this immediately fluid, immediately there. And other people might find there are a few glitches. Simply drawing a figure of 8 with the hips, with the pelvis. And breathing. Feel the air on your skin, the earth beneath your feet. And you might find you want to release the arms and allow them to intuitively move with the body. And you might find that your shoulders come into that movement as well. So the best thing with this figure of 8 movement is not to think, but to simply flow with the body. Breathe and feel the flow of the movement. Stirring things up in the pelvis a little bit, as well as bringing the whole body into the movement. Breathe, and let's take this for a little bit longer because it's just so soothing for the whole system. Just move from the pelvis in this way. You can be as slow or as small or as fast and as expansive as you want. Breathe and be free. Breathe and be free. You might feel elegant or you might not feel elegant, and none of it matters at all. Nobody can see you, probably unless you're there with somebody. But I can't see you, so you can just let rip. And then begin to slow that down. Slow that down. Till you gradually come to stillness. Come to feel the body here. You feel a slight tingling and aliveness in your skin. How's the breath? And stepping your feet closer together. You need to take your hands to your hips for this. Actually, we'll come to the knees. Bring your feet and your knees together. And take your hands to your knees. And just begin to circle the knees. You need to be really tender here, especially if you have any problems with the knees. Some of you might find it easier to take your feet slightly apart. Very gentle little circles into the knees. God, it's so hot, isn't it? And I don't know if it's hot with you, but I'm finding it quite hot. And then you can take those knee circles in the other direction. Lovely, just a few more circles. And then coming to stand up, feel the body. And taking your hands to your hips and rooting down through the left foot so you can lift your right leg up in front of you, and all you're going to do is circle into the right ankle. There's also a little bit of a balance going on. Breathe. And then take the circles in the opposite direction. Then you can also come to the tops of your toes and your feet and have a little bit of a circle over the toes here. Some people might really like this, and some people might find it a little bit squeamish. Have a little bit of a stir around over the top of your toes and your feet. Lovely. And then we'll take that to the other side. So rooting down through the right foot, the right leg, so that you're able to lift up the left leg and circle into the left ankle. Breathing. Absolutely fine if you wobble. And then taking those circles in the opposite direction. Wonderful. And then taking the tops of the foot down to the floor and having a little bit of a schmoozle around over the tops of the feet and the toes. Just feeling into these areas of stiffness on the top of the foot, the ankle and the toes. Okay. And then coming again, just to feel the body. You close your eyes if you want to. Maybe take your hands to your lower belly. Can you soften in your throat and up through the roof of your mouth, behind your eyes, at the same time as allowing the weight of your body to pour down through the feet. Alert and alive and sensitive to all sensation, all sound. Lovely. Okay, so we're going to move on. We've warmed into all our joints and we're going to move on to some Ujjayi breath. I want to come into quite a lot of breathing practice today. So Ujjayi breath is absolutely brilliant for our vagal tone, or the nourishing of the vagus nerve, which allows us to come into a sense of relaxation, ease. It's also related to, it's part of the parasympathetic nervous system. And Ujjayi breath just allows us to really, really settle the system. So if you'd like to just bring an awareness to the back of your throat. because this is the part of the body that we're going to constrict ever so slightly with the breath. But we'll do it first with an open mouth and then we'll close the mouth. So on a breath in, lift your arms up. And as you breathe out, open your mouth wide. And take a few breaths like this and notice on the out breath how the air brushes over the back of your throat. And maybe you feel more of a grounding through your feet. Take 2 more like that. And then stop and take a normal breath in and out. And we're going to come to doing the same thing but with the mouth closed. So it's as if you're still making that, but you close the lips. So breathing in. Start open and close halfway down. Breathing in. Start open. One more like that. Breathing in. And now see if you can keep your mouth closed the whole time. And keep going with this ocean breath, this rasping, victorious breath at the back of your throat, the whole of your head alive with the breath, resonating. Three more rounds. Last one. And then coming to feel a natural breath. Feeling the body. And then if you'd like to join me in a seated position, please. If you want to be on a chair, that's fine. We're going to continue with the breathing practice before we come into some more movement and then some yin. So you could be cross-legged. You find a seated posture that allows you to have a nice lift up through the spine and to be able to release down through the base of your body. You might like to take the tips of your thumbs and forefingers together, other 3 fingers extended. Take your palms down to your legs. And either close your eyes or take a gaze to the floor in front of you, soft gaze. And before we return to our Ujjayi breath, can you drop your attention into the sensation of your natural breath? Releasing in the jaw and the back of the throat. Aware of the rise and fall of your diaphragm. Very soft around the edges. Can you feel the sensation of air in your nostrils? Coming to the back of your throat, down the smoothened sides of your throat and into your chest. Can you soften a little into your belly? Notice perhaps how with each breath in, your diaphragm flattens down over your abdominal organs. And with each breath out, it's released upwards like a jellyfish under the ribs. Can you become completely absorbed in the feeling of the breath? And maybe you can leave behind being the breather, allowing your body to breathe you, to breathe itself. And if you're able to, coming to a gentle ujjayi, that light constriction of the back of the throat, so you can hear this ocean breath. And we're going to add a count to this ocean breath. If the ocean breath doesn't work for you, return to natural breath and count with that. Next time you breathe in, could you count in for 4? And as you breathe out, count out for 6. And continue like that. If the numbers don't work for you, choose other numbers as long as the exhalation is longer than the inhalation. But never forcing. So the count that you have still stays very much within an envelope of comfort. And can you keep going, becoming curious and more absorbed in the way in which your exhalations fade away? Can you follow the exhalations into the space, the emptiness they fade into? And although your inhalations will come in naturally, maybe your attention can stay in that spacious emptiness that you may have encountered as at the fading of your exhalation. Taking a few more rounds of this breath, extended exhalation with Ujjayi. Staying very soft in the roof of your mouth, around the jaw, upper and lower jaw. And at some point, allowing the Ujjayi and the count to release. Or sit a while in the after effect of this breathing practice. Simply observing how you feel. What do you notice now? How do you feel in relation to the space around you? If you'd like to, you might want to recall your intention for this practice, if you have one. Why are you here tonight? And then opening your eyes and coming to lying on your back and having a belt handy, having an eye pillow or the equivalent handy for this next part of the practice. So having your knees bent, the soles of your feet on the floor, take a moment to allow the back of the body to really sink into the earth. So not a typical Yin class tonight. I hope that's okay with you. Sometimes it's interesting to come at our nervous systems from different directions. We're going to begin to move our knees together over to the left, and you move your head to the left as well. Excuse me, you move your head to the right. And then begin to move your knees to neutral, your head to neutral. And then take your head to the left, your knees to the right. I'm going to take a few rounds of these very simple spinal twists, nothing complicated. And we're going to turn them into something a little bit different. Some of you might love Ujjayi breath so much that you continue a soft Ujjayi. And then we'll meet with our knees neutral, our head neutral. We're going to do something a little bit different here. We're going to start rolling everything over towards the left, coming all the way onto your left side, over your forehead onto your face. And your right arm can come wherever it wants to come, maybe over the back of the body or flopping forwards. Becoming really heavy and loose. And then slowly coming back the other way. Slowly coming back the other way and waiting to notice a neutral, constructive rest. Before you allow your knees and head to drop to the right. Coming right over onto your forehead and face, and just allowing the left arm to do whatever feels right. You might need to arrange your right arm. You might like your arms further out in a T shape or just by your sides. Come back to constructive rest. Feel the body. And then continue like this, really drapey. It's like you're dragging the back arm with you. Remembering to come right over, almost to squash your nose a bit. Remembering to weight in neutral. And as you continue in your own time, the question to ask yourself is if you're holding on to anything or if your whole body just simply flows with its weight. There's nothing to achieve. But you observe and you feel the weight and the simplicity. Taking a couple more rounds to each side, and then we'll meet in a neutral, constructive rest position. Allowing the body, when you've come back to your neutral position, just allowing yourself to feel. Very soft in the belly and simple in the breath. And if you'd like to slide your left leg away and draw your right knee in towards you with your hands. And we're going to stay here for about 2 minutes. This is where you might like to place an eye pillow on your eyes or something as you just simply draw the right knee in. You could hook your elbow over it if that feels right. As simple as that. You might be pushing ever so delicately out through the left heel, but nothing forced. And there's no problem if you feel intuitively that you want to move around a little bit here in the right hip. It's all good. Breathe and soften in the face and the throat, the roof of your mouth. Breathe. And then taking one final breath in here. And on the breath out, slide the right leg away. Feel the body. Maybe noticing a difference between the two sides. And then we'll do the same with the left leg. Drawing the left knee in. Maybe starting off by pushing through the right heel a little, but nothing forced. I found that I wanted just to relax the right ankle and foot actually. And deciding if you want your left elbow over the knee or how it works for you. Maybe with an eye pillow. If you need to make little movements in the left hip, please do. Make it really just delicious. Make it what you need right now. There's so much strain on our nervous systems for so many different reasons, and I think when we're under the effect of too much adrenaline, cortisol, when we're feeling depleted and strained, it's almost like a veil comes down in front of our eyes as we perceive ourselves and the world around us. So distorting. And the remedy is so simple. It's as simple as this. And taking one more full breath in. And then breathing out, release the left leg along the floor. And take a moment to feel the whole body. Noticing if your breath has changed at all. And if you'd like to bend up your knees and have your belt handy now, bringing the belt or the sash, whatever you've got, not on the ball of the foot, but in the instep of the foot. And we're going to stay here for 2 or 3 minutes, but what I want you to make sure of is that you're not straining, we're not coming to the biggest hamstring stretch possible. So your elbows and your upper arms are on the floor. And you can extend the left leg if that feels right to you. And this is really nice to do with darkness, so covering your eyes if that's right. And you're looking to have the right leg straight. So bring it at any angle to the body that allows it to be straight. It may be at 90 degrees, it may not be. And then can you drop into this pose and allow the tension in certain parts of the body where you identify to melt away. And this could be in the wrists, in the face. Breathe. What do you notice here? And again, if you need to, you might want to move the raised leg a little bit. Or you might want to come to stillness. You find your practice. All the while breathing. remaining alert within the whole process of letting go, so that you don't miss anything. We've only got about another 30 seconds. And then taking a full breath in. And breathe out, simply bend the knee, release the belt, slide the foot away to take a moment to feel the difference between the two sides before we come to the other side. And then we start with both knees bent and take the belt into the instep of the left foot. Remembering to release the upper arms and elbows to the floor. And only slide the right leg away if that is right for you. Don't want there to be any strain here at all. And covering your eyes if that feels like the right thing to do. And breathe. Notice where you're holding on. And soften in the face, the mouth and the throat. Maybe with the left leg raised, you feel the weight of the right leg, the weight of the hip. Rooting down the body into the earth. So much stability as we're held by the earth. And breathe. And coming into the final 30 seconds. Taking a full breath in, and then as you breathe out, release the belt, drop the foot to the floor and slide the leg away. Taking a moment to just lie here feeling the body. Very simple practice in a way. We have enough complex practices to reckon with. And if you'd like to separate your feet so your heels are about mat distance apart, I'm going to press your heels into the mat. I'm going to do a fascia wobble. So all this means is that you rock yourself over the heels. So I don't want you to actively point and actively pull your toes because you'll become rigid. Just simply rock. And can you see how the whole of my body is rocking? Allow the whole body to become very, very wobbly, as if you have no bones in your body. You just simply shake it up. The looser you are, the more you'll flush into your fascia, your connective tissue, hydrating all these tissues as they interpenetrate the muscles, the joints. So good for you to free the energy through the body. Keep going, even if your calf muscles are a little bit tired. And then gently release. And soak it up. What do you feel right now? Do you feel the fizz? Take a little while longer to simply feel this energetic quality of the body, the energetic quality of yourself. The pranamaya kosha. Still luxuriating in the support of the earth beneath us. And all the space above and around us. And then in your own time, very slowly, take the soles of your feet to the floor and roll over for a moment to one side into a recovery position or like a fetal position. Until you're ready to push yourself up, make sure your head comes last. And we're going to come to half butterfly pose, keeping the left leg extended and bringing the right foot into the inner left thigh. Now there's a few things to do here. Some of you might want to sit on something if you find that you slump in the lower back. And all of us to begin with are going to take our hands behind us to give a little bit of a help to the pelvis to tilt forwards and a little bit of a lift in the chest. So your lower back is caving in, not caving in, excuse me, it's arching in a little bit. Take a couple of breaths here. Lovely. And then breathing in, find length up through the spine. And as you breathe out, come down over your left leg. So I'm not taking the left leg right out to one side. It's right out in front of me. I'll come like this. And we're going to stay for 3 minutes in this half butterfly. If your right knee is raised because of the tightness in the hip, prop it up. Prop it up. Notice any tension still around the neck, the shoulders. And come to your breath to stay. You may or you may not be breathing Ujjayi breath. Can you let go a little bit more? As you feel into the ground of your being. Can you let go a little bit more? Stop being the doer. And allow yourself to be fully present in this half butterfly, letting go of any sense of what there might be to achieve or any goal, because there is no such thing right now. And taking a full breath in and a long breath out. Please keep your chin into your chest as you press into your hands to straighten your arms and slowly, slowly come up. Head coming last. To feel the residue, the after effect of this pose. You might like to take your hands behind you. And then we'll come to the other side. Extending the right leg, bringing the left foot in, propping up the left knee if you need to, and starting by taking your hands behind you to help tilt the pelvis forwards and lift up the chest a little. Giving it a little bit of a head start, so it's a little bit of a back bend here before we come into the forward fold. And then straightening up and finding a lift up through the spine, inhale. And exhale, come down as far as is right for you over the right leg. So there should be no pain in the lower back here. Stay up if there is, even bend the knee if there is. And return to the breath. And to complete softness and surrender. Letting go. And breathing. Stay very, 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 very close to yourself. as you observe how it may be possible to drop a little bit deeper. Breathe. And taking a full breath in and a long breath out. Very, very slowly coming all the way back up, making sure you bring your head last. And taking a moment to feel the residue. I love half butterfly. It's working with the kidney meridian, helping to nourish our adrenal glands that become so depleted. And if you'd like to extend both legs and take your hands behind you and lift the chest ever so slightly, a little bit of a tilt of the pelvis. Feeling the body here. And then you can bend up your knees, feet about mat distance apart. Take some very fluid, slow windshield wipers. Rinsing through the pelvis. Lazy, lazy class, which I forgot to advertise. Wonderful. Okay, my lovelies, we are going to take hold of a brick or anything you've got that's the equivalent. Might be a thick book. Someone told me they were using their PhD thesis. Must be very thick PhD thesis is all I can think. And we're going to, and you might want your eye pillow handy. We're going to come to a 5-minute supported bridge. So you come to lying on your back with your knees bent. And then lift up your body, pressing into your feet, and place the brick underneath your sacrum. So we've done a lot of work on the sacrum this week, for those of you who've been coming to the other classes. You don't want the upper edge of the brick to be cutting into your vertebrae. And usually it will be coming down about halfway down your buttocks. So you should just feel completely solid and supported here. So the whole of the weight of your pelvis can just pour down into the brick. Some of you might want to make the brick a little bit higher, but this is supposed to be quite restorative. So only do what feels absolutely right to you. And then come to feeling the whole body dropping. We're not extending our legs for this version. Come to your breath. And take this time to simply observe what's present for you right now. I don't want to fill the space with my words. I want to leave you to your own experience. Keep feeling the weight pouring down into the brick. As you soften into your belly and you breathe. Stay very close. Maybe you notice little shifts in the body, shifts in the way you're feeling, energetically, nervously. Coming into the final minute here. Keep letting go. Feeling the weight of the body. To come out of the pose, pressing into your feet enough to lift your pelvis up, just so that you can slide the brick away. And then lower your spine down to the mat. Take a moment to feel now. And then rolling over to one side, back into that little fetal position just for a moment. Before you're ready to slowly push yourself up for a final physical pose before we come back to a little bit of a breathing practice. So So let's take a little bit of time to get into this. How are we doing? We're doing quite well. I'd like you to roll up your blanket so it's quite long and not too thick. So we're going to lie the whole spine along it. So there shouldn't be any bumps. It should feel quite comfortable. And then sit right at the end of it. You're not actually sitting on it. And then settle your spine all the way down. Your legs are just going to be extended for this version. And then take the top of the blanket, and it'll depend on what kind of blanket it is, but basically you're going to make yourself a little bit of a pillow. I just want your head to be slightly elevated. And then all there is to do is to allow all the muscles that run up and down the spine to soften into the blanket. Let it have you. You may be covering your eyes, you may be not. I would let go of your Ujjayi breath now. We're staying for 5 minutes. Let gravity have you. Feeling the gentle swell of the ocean with your breath. So you keep dropping. Staying very, very intimate, very, very close with everything that arises. How soft can you become around the eyes and behind the eyes? Almost as if you can soften through the optic nerve all the way to the back of your skull. Maybe you can feel as if your upper and lower jaw almost unhinge. then all you're going to do is roll over enough so that you can slide the blanket away, so you're completely flat on your back. Feeling the body, feeling the support again. Noticing the quality of your breath. And then separating your feet so that your feet are mat distance apart. And we're going to take another fascia wobble. So beginning to rock over the heels. Not trying, just simply releasing the whole body into this rock, a little shake up. A little bit longer. And then letting go. Feeling the whole body, just a few moments here. What do you notice? And then bending your knees up, very gently rolling over to one side. And pushing yourself up very gently to come to final little breathing practice. So you could be sitting on a block, you could be sitting on a chair, however you feel comfortable. So that you're able to release down through the hips. Elbows are underneath your armpits. Let's take a moment to simply close the eyes and feel a natural breath. Notice the quality of a natural breath. And I'd like to come towards the end of this practice with some Brahmari breathing, some bee breath. And all this means is a hum on the exhalation. We're going to do it in 3 different ways. So to begin with, just keep your hands where they are and breathe in, full breath in. But as you breathe out, hum. When you come to the end of that hum, take another breath in. And keep going for a few rounds in your own rhythm, because we all have different breathing rhythms. Making the next round your last round. Returning to natural breath. And we're going to use a mudra, a gesture with our hands to accentuate the bee breath a little bit more, accentuate the experience of it. So you see these cartilage flaps in your ears. You're going to use your thumbs to close those. So we're closing off the hearing sense. Don't do it yet or you won't hear me. And you can just take the rest of your fingers around the frontal lobes of your brain, the front of your skull. We won't come to the whole closing the eyes and the mouth. We'll just keep it simple. And then breathing in. And as you breathe out, close the flaps of your ears as you hum. Release the flaps so you can hear me, I hope. I should have said this before. And we'll continue to take 4 more in your own time. And when you've come to the end of your final bee breath, releasing your hands down and returning to natural breath to observe how you feel. And the final version of Brahmari that we'll take is a Tibetan Brahmari. It's using the same principles of the sound and the resonance in the head, which is just excellent for calming the nervous system. But we use our hands in a slightly different way. So taking your hands together in front of the heart space. And as you breathe in, take your hands up over your face, over your skull, and then press the ear flaps in and breathe out. And we'll do 4 more, starting at the heart, breathing in. When you've come to the end of your Brahmari practice, returning to natural breath and sitting for a moment to simply observe how you feel. You might like to end your practice in a seated meditation. Or you might like to come for a few minutes to lie flat on your back, making sure that you're warm enough. If it's relevant for you, recalling any intention you might have set. And then just allowing yourself to bathe in the effects of this practice, in your body, your mind, your soul, whatever that means to you. Remembering that when your nerves are jangly, for whatever reason, it's always possible to come to these quite simple practices. This wasn't a complicated practice. These simple breathing and moving and stillness practices bring us back to the ground of our being. And the love and the peace and the compassion and the deep ease, all of which is at the heart of the ground of our being. And thanking you very, very much for joining me this evening. I'm going to turn the Zoom off and leave you to stay as long as you like. I'd love some feedback on this class, if you can give it to me. And I'll be back in the morning for a Saturday refresh flow. Maybe see some of you there. Otherwise, next week is the last week of classes. Lots of love to you all. Thank you.